I have a friend of mine, years ago, you guys would probably know his name, so I'm not going to mention his full name, I don't have permission, but a buddy of mine that I met in Aruba for the first time. And if you've never been to Aruba, it's beautiful. But the guy showed up for about an hour and made $25,000 for telling a story. If anyone in here would like to earn $25,000 or better over the course of a career for telling a story, please say, I would. I would. All right, terrific. Well, today I'm going to break down how to, the steps on getting to a convincing and confident story in 5 simple steps. And it's going to be fun, it's going to be easy. I only need about 10 minutes, so let's see how this works here. Can we get this? There we go. All right, that was a handsome guy. Okay, so we're going to call it the 5 C's, the five levels of influence for your story. The first one is clarity. The trigger phrase is, what's the idea? So the 5 steps to getting to a convincing, a confident story, the first one is clarity. It's getting the simple idea of what your story is. Anyone in here ever heard that the best network marketers are the best storytellers? Just say, I have. Okay? That's all network marketing is telling good stories. And a story that makes someone else want to be a part of your story. As you guys saw last night, I can't tell my personal story because it just ruins my vibe for the whole rest of the night. You know, the microphone gets wet from tears. I can't do it. So I thought I'd try yesterday. The step 2 after clarity is certainty. All right? Trigger phrase is write the script. Who in here knows that the best actors make the best money? Just say, I do. I do. All right, so Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, those are some of my favorites. They don't just go into a movie and say, okay, it's a gangster movie, act like a gangster. They have a script to go by. In network marketing, indirect sales, it's no different. You need a good script. So take the time to sit down and at least write bullet points of your story. So step by step. Now, what does a good story sound like? Well, you want to create, in the very beginning, you want to give them a reason to follow along with the rest of the story. You want to build up to a climax. You want to execute that climax to the point where it gets them excited and creates an emotional attachment, if you can. Okay, whenever you tug at someone's heartstrings, they're more apt to want to get involved in what it is that you're doing. You create that emotional connection. Now, step 3 out of the 5 C's, we're going back, gave you too much, is confidence. We got number 4 up there, that's okay. Y'all know what it is by now anyway. So confidence. Trigger phrase is practice makes perfect. All right, so it's confidence in yourself. And so you want to get to the point where you have an exciting story, but the first thing is, as Brian B. said, is believe in yourself. So there's 6 steps to speaking enthusiastically. You might want to write that down. 6 steps to speaking enthusiastically are going to help you come across confident until you get there, okay? Until you fully get to where you're actually confident in yourself and you believe in what it is that you're doing. The 6 steps to speaking enthusiastically will help you. First step is talk loudly enough for your prospect to hear you. Talk loudly enough. Step 2 is talk at a good pace to keep it clear and interesting. Step 3 is keep a smile in your voice. Best way to do that is keep a smile on your face. Seth Fraser's excellent at that. The next 3 steps are emphasize, hesitate, and modulate. Emphasize the words that you want to make an impact on. Emphasize anything that you want to last in their mind. Hesitate to draw suspense. So if I were talking really quick and then I got to a point where I really wanted you to pay attention, you would hesitate and draw that out. Modulate is raising the tone, the volume, and the pitch in your voice. So if you use those 6 steps to speaking enthusiastically, then even if you're not quite yet confident in yourself or what it is that you're doing or your story, you'll still come across confident to your prospect. Does that make sense? Awesome. Step 4 is conviction. the trigger phrase is feel the burn. Okay, so it's not, now you've moved from being confident in yourself to confident in your story, a convicting story. So this guy that I was telling you about, his name is Pat. He's a billionaire with a B. Met him in Aruba, great guy. What's not to be happy about? $25,000 for an hour of his time, and I barely blinked for that hour. He had practiced that story, you could tell. He had a system to telling the story. He was excited telling the story. The 6 steps to speaking enthusiastically, he didn't skip one of them. And he had gotten to the point where he had felt the conviction. That's when it really gets exciting, is the conviction. When you feel it, you know you're good whenever you get chills when you're telling the story. Whenever you feel yourself get the chills when you're telling your story, you know you've arrived. You might still tweak it here and there. Who in here has ever gotten to that point where they've been like, I'm good? They felt it. Go ahead and say, I'm good. I'm good. Okay. Are you? All right. Some of y'all. All right. Cool. Exciting. Now, with that, the last step, very simply, is go back. I'm no good at this. All right. Last step is credibility. Trigger phrase is that which you share multiplies. I love that. In a previous organization I was with, we went by something called MYTO, M-Y-T-O, multiply yourself through others. That which you share multiplies, that which you withhold diminishes. So in this particular direct sales model, that which we share obviously multiplies in the form of dollars and cents. You know you're good also whenever people not only come to see you, but they bring people to see you. That's where this last C really comes into play, credibility. Okay, so that's when you've done 3-way calls, you've got out there and you've done home meetings, you've told your story, and people say, you know what, that Billy Funk, you've got to hear him. You've got to hear Ray Dietrich's story. You've got to hear where this guy came from. You've got to hear about this single mom with 5 kids and 2 jobs who made an extra $5,000 a month with Kannaway, and it changed her life and created a lifestyle. So that's where the last C comes into play. We've got a few tips for you to keep in mind while you're designing this story. And we'll, is it back here? Slide. I like it. I changed it into a tie because I couldn't let Seth be the only guy looking good on stage, so I remember now why I don't wear them. A noose with style. All right, so a few tips on creating a compelling story. Number 1 is try to keep it in between 3 and 5 minutes if you can. Once you reach the credibility part and people are bringing their friends to come hear you, then you might be able to go over a little bit. As I mentioned, Pat, he was there for an hour and everyone was enthralled. So you want to try, and whenever you first start doing this, keep it in between 3 and 5 minutes. And then, if you run over a little bit, that's fine, but use that for guidelines. Another one is paint a picture and use descriptive words. I'll give you an example. I tell a story about something that happened to me in Denver, Colorado. And I talk about this little girl who, she was a little 5 or 6-year-old little girl, blonde hair, about 2 inches long, and I just tell this story, but I use descriptive words. So you want to paint a picture, because most people are visual learners, yes or yes? Absolutely. Me personally, if you tell me to go read something or you tell me something over the phone and you're not using descriptive words, you'll lose my attention in the first 30 to 60 seconds. The last tip I got for you is tug at the heart. Have a dramatic climax to your story. So if you reach that point where you've established an emotional connection, and always listen to them. Brian was exactly right. Brian Bean, he said, and I'll use an example like we use in Kentucky. That's where I'm from, by the way. You can probably tell by the accent. I don't have an accent, do I? A little bit, just a lot. We say, like me, like my dog. So try and be like that person. Modeling is what they call it. So look for a commonality that you have with this individual. And if they can see themselves in you and in your story and that relatability, then you stand a lot better probability of them wanting to be a part of your story. Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay, so all I needed was about 10 minutes. Hopefully, added some value. What I would challenge you guys to do over the course of this weekend is get a good idea of what you want your story to be. The story of Ray, the story of Billy, the story of Austin, whatever it is. Get your story down and then make some bullet points and then write the script to your 3 to 5 minute movie. Sound like a plan? Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.